Now is the winter of our discontent. From Richard III, Act 1, Scene 1. This is a LibriVox recording. For more information or to volunteer, visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Kirsten Ferreri. Now is the winter of our discontent made glorious summer by this son of York. And all the clouds that lured upon our house in the deep bosom of the ocean are buried. Now are our brows bound with victorious wreaths, our bruised arms hung up for monuments, our stern alarums changed to merry meetings, our dreadful marches to delightful measures. Grim-visaged war hath smoothed his wrinkled front, and now, instead of mounting barded steeds to fright the souls of fearful adversaries, he capers nimbly in a lady's chamber to the lascivious pleasing of a lute. But I, that am not shaped for sportive tricks, nor made to court an amorous looking-glass, I, that am rudely stamped, and want love's majesty to strut before a wanton ambling nymph, I, that am curtailed of this fair proportion, cheated of feature by dissembling nature, deformed, unfinished, sent before my time into this breathing world, scarce half made up, and that so lamely and unfashionable that dogs bark at me as I halt by them. Why, I, in this weak piping time of peace, have no delight to pass away the time, unless to spy my shadow in the sun and descant on my own deformity. And therefore, since I cannot prove a lover to entertain these fair well-spoken days, I am determined to prove a villain, and hate the idle pleasure of these days. Plots have I laid, inductions dangerous, by drunken prophecies, libels, and dreams, to set my brother Clarence and the king in deadly hate the one against the other. And if King Edward be as true and just as I am subtle, false, and treacherous, this day should Clarence closely be mewed up about a prophecy, which says that G. of Edward's heirs the murderer shall be. Dive thoughts down to my soul. Here Clarence comes. End of Now is the Winter, from Richard III, Act 1, Scene 1. This recording is in the public domain.
To Thine Own Self Be True, from Hamlet, Act 1, Scene 3, by William Shakespeare, recorded for LibriVox.org. Yet here, Laertes, aboard, aboard, for shame! The wind sits in the shoulder of your sail, and you are stayed for. There, my blessing with thee, and these few precepts in thy memory. Look thou character, give thy thoughts no tongue, nor any unproportioned thought his act. Be thou familiar, but by no means vulgar. The friends thou hast in their adoption tried, grapple them to thy soul with hoops of steel, but do not dull thy palm with entertainment of each new-hatched, unfledged comrade. Beware of entrance to a quarrel, but being in, bear that the opposed may beware of thee. Give every man thine ear, but few thy voice. Take each man's censure, but reserve thy judgment. Costly thy habit as thy purse can buy, but not expressed in fancy, rich, not gaudy. For the apparel oft proclaims the man, and they in France of the best rank and station are most select and generous, chief in that. Neither a borrower nor lender be, for loan oft loses both itself and friend, and borrowing dulls the edge of husbandry. This above all, to thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day, thou canst not then be false to any man. Farewell, my blessing season this in thee. End of To Thine Own Self Be True, from Hamlet, Act 1, Scene 3. This recording is in the public domain.
These are the Forgeries of Jealousy, from A Midsummer Night's Dream, by William Shakespeare, Act 2, Scene 1. This is a LibriVox recording. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Elizabeth Klett. These are the forgeries of jealousy, and never since the middle summer's spring met we on hill, in dale, forest, or mead, by paved fountain or by rushy brook, or in the beached margent of the sea to dance our ringlets to the whistling wind, but with thy brawls thou hast disturbed our sport. Therefore the winds, piping to us in vain, as in revenge have sucked up from the sea contagious fogs, which falling in the land have every pelting river made so proud that they have overborne their continents. The ox hath therefore stretched his yoke in vain, the ploughman lost his sweat, and the green corn hath rotted ere his youth attained a beard. The fold stands empty in the drowned field, and crows are fatted with the Murrian flock. The 9 men's morris is filled up with mud, and the quaint mazes in the wanton green for lack of tread are undistinguishable. The human mortals want their winter here. No night is now with hymn or carol blessed. Therefore the moon, the governess of floods, pale in her anger, washes all the air, that rheumatic diseases do abound, and thorough this distemperature we see the seasons alter. Hoary-headed frosts fall in the fresh lap of the crimson rose, and on old Hyam's thin and icy crown an odorous chaplet of sweet summer buds is as in mockery set. The spring, the summer, the childing autumn, angry winter change their wonted liveries, and the mazed world by their increase now knows not which is which. And this same progeny of evils comes from our debate, from our dissension. We are their parents and original. End of These Are the Forgeries of Jealousy, from A Midsummer Night's Dream, by William Shakespeare. Act 2, Scene 1. This recording is in the public domain.
This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. A Midsummer Night's Dream by William Shakespeare. Bottom's Monologue, Act 5, Scene 1. Bottom as Pyramus. Bottom read by Simon Taylor. Sweet moon, I thank thee for thy sunny beams. I thank thee, moon, for shining now so bright. For by thy gracious gold and glittering gleams I trust to take of truest this beside. But stay, O spite! But mark, poor knight, what dreadful dole is here? Eyes, do you see? How can it be? O dainty duck, O dear, thy mantle good, what? Stained with blood? Approach, ye furies fell. O fates, come, come, cut, thread, and thrum. Quail, crush, conclude, and quell. O wherefore, nature, didst thou lion's frame? Since lion vile hath here deflowered my day, which is no, which was the fairest dame that lived, that loved, that liked, that looked with cheer. Come, tears confound, out, sword and wound, the pap of Pyramus. Ay, that left pap where heart doth hop. Thus die I. Thus. Now am I dead. Now am I fled. My soul is in the sky. Tongue, lose thy light. Moon, take thy flight. Now, die! 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 End of Sweet Moon, I Thank Thee for Thy Sunny Beams, from Midsummer Night's Dream, Act 5, Scene 1. This recording is in the public domain. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. King Henry V, Act 4, Scene 1. King Henry's Monologue. King Henry V, read by Simon Taylor. Upon the King. Let us our lives, our souls, our debts, our careful wives, our children, and our sins lay on the King. We must bear all. O hard condition, twin born with greatness, subject to the breath of every fool, whose sense no more can feel but his own wringing. What infinite heart's ease must kings neglect that private men enjoy? And what have kings that privates have not too, save ceremony, save general ceremony? And what art thou, thou idle ceremony? What kind of god art thou that sufferest more of mortal griefs than do thy worshippers? What are thy rents? What are thy comings in? O ceremony, show me but thy worth. What is thy soul of adoration? Art thou naught else but place, degree, and form, creating awe and fear in other men? Wherein thou art less happy being feared than they in fearing? What drink'st thou oft, instead of homage sweet, but poisoned flattery? O be sick great greatness, and bid thy ceremony give thee cure. Think'st thou the fiery fever will go out with titles blown from adulation? Will it give place to flexure and low bending? Canst thou, when thou command'st the beggar's knee, command the health of it? No, thou proud dream that play'st so subtly with a king's repose. I am a king that find thee, and I know 'tis not the balm, the sceptre and the ball, the sword, the mace, the crown imperial, the intertissued robe of gold and pearl, the farced title running for the king, the throne he sits on, nor the tide of pomp that beats upon the high shore of this world. No, not all these thrice gorgeous ceremony, not all these, laid in bed majestical, can sleep so soundly as the wretched slave, who, with a body filled and vacant mind, gets him to rest, crammed with distressful bread. Never sees horrid night, the child of hell, but like a lackey from the rise to set, sweats in the eye of Phoebus, and all night sleeps in Elysium. Next day after dawn doth rise and help Hyperion to his horse, and follows so the ever-running year with profitable labour to his grave, and but for ceremony! Such a wretch, winding up days with toil and nights with sleep, had the forehand and vantage of a king. The slave, a member of the country's peace, enjoys it, but in gross brain little wots what watch the king keeps to maintain the peace, whose hours the peasant best advantages. End of Upon the King, from Henry V, Act 4, Scene 1. This recording is in the public domain.
They met me in the day of success, by Lady Macbeth, from Macbeth, Act 1, Scene 5. This is a LibriVox recording. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Beth Peat at Reading, UK. They met me in the day of success, and I have learned by the perfectest report they have more in them than mortal knowledge. When I burned in desire to question them further, they made themselves air, into which they vanished. Whilst I stood wrapped in the wonder of it, came missives from the king, who all hailed me Thane of Cawdor, by which title before these weird sisters saluted me, and referred me to the coming on of time with, Hail, King that shalt be. This I have thought good to deliver thee, my dearest partner of greatness, that thou mightest not lose the dues of rejoicing by being ignorant of what greatness does promise thee. Lay it to thy heart, and farewell. Glamis thou art, and Cawdor, and shalt be what thou art promised. Yet I do fear thy nature. It is too full of the milk of human kindness to catch the nearest way. Thou wouldst be great, art not without ambition, but without the illness should attend it. What thou wouldst highly, that wouldst thou holily, would not play false, and yet wouldst wrongly win. Thou'st have, great Glamis, that which cries, thou must do if thou have it, and that which rather thou dost fear to do than wishest should be undone. Hie thee hither, that I may pour my spirits in thine ear, and chastise with the valour of my tongue all that impedes thee from the golden round, which fate and metaphysical aid doth seem to have thee crowned withal. End of Lady Macbeth's monologue, from Macbeth, Act 1, Scene 5. This recording is in the public domain.
Set down your honourable load. From Richard III, by William Shakespeare. Act 1, Scene 2. This is a LibriVox recording. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Elizabeth Klett. Set down your honourable load, if honour may be shrouded in a hearse, whilst I awhile obsequiously lament the untimely fall of virtuous Lancaster. Poor, key-cold figure of a holy king, pale ashes of the house of Lancaster, thou bloodless remnant of that royal blood, be it lawful that I invocate thy ghost, to hear the lamentations of poor Anne, wife to thy Edward, to thy slaughtered son, stabbed by the selfsame hand that made these wounds. Lo, in these windows that let forth thy life, I pour the helpless balm of my poor eyes. Cursed be the hand that made these fatal holes. Cursed be the heart that had the heart to do it. Cursed the blood that let this blood from hence. More direful hap betide that hated wretch, that makes us wretched by the death of thee, than I can wish to adders, spiders, toads, or any creeping venom thing that lives. If ever he have child, abortive be it, prodigious and untimely brought to light, whose ugly and unnatural aspect may fright the hopeful mother at the view, and that be heir to his unhappiness. If ever he have wife, let her be made more miserable by the death of him, as I am made by my poor lord and thee. Come, now towards Chertsey with your holy load, taken from Paul's to be interred there. And still, as you are weary of the weight, rest you, whiles I lament King Henry's course. End of Set down your honourable load, from Richard III, by William Shakespeare, Act 1, Scene 2. This recording is in the public domain. When He That Is My Husband Now, from Richard III, by William Shakespeare, Act 4, Scene 1. This is a LibriVox recording. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Elizabeth Klett. When he that is my husband now came to me, as I followed Henry's course, when scarce the blood was well washed from his hands which issued from my other angel husband, and that dead saint which then I weeping followed, O when, I say, I looked on Richard's face, this was my wish. Be thou, quoth I, accursed, for making me so young, so old a widow. And when thou wedd'st, let sorrow haunt thy bed, and be thy wife, if any be so mad, as miserable by the life of thee as thou hast made me by my dear Lord's death. Lo, ere I can repeat this curse again, even in so short a space, my woman's heart grossly grew captive to his honey words, and proved the subject of my own soul's curse, which ever since hath kept my eyes from rest. For never yet 1 hour in his bed have I enjoyed the golden dew of sleep, but have been waked by his timorous dreams. Besides, he hates me for my father Warwick, and will no doubt shortly be rid of me. End of When He That Is My Husband Now, from Richard III, by William Shakespeare, Act 4, Scene 1. This recording is in the public domain.
There is a Willow, from Hamlet, Act 4, Scene 7. This is a LibriVox recording. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Jennette, Selig. One woe doth tread upon another's heel, so fast they follow. Your sisters drown, Laertes. There is a willow, grows aslant a brook, that shows his hoar leaves in the glassy stream. There with fantastic garlands did she come, of crowflowers, nettles, daisies, and long purples, that liberal shepherds give a grosser name, but our cold maids do dead men's fingers call them. There, on the pendant boughs her coronet weeds clamoring to hang, an envious sliver broke, when down her weedy trophies and herself fell in the weeping brook, her clothes spread wide, and, mermaid-like, awhile they bore her up, which time she chanted snatches of old tunes as one incapable of her own distress, or like a creature native and endued unto that element. But long it could not be till that her garments, heavy with their drink, pulled the poor wretch from her melodious lay to muddy death, drowned, drowned. End of There Is a Willow, from Hamlet, Act 4, Scene 7. This recording is in the public domain.
More Strange Than True, spoken by Theseus, from A Midsummer Night's Dream, Act 5, Scene 1. This is a LibriVox recording. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. 'Tis strange what these lovers speak of, more strange than true. I never may believe these antique fables nor these fairy toys. Lovers and madmen have such seething brains, such shaping fantasies that apprehend more than cool reason ever comprehends. The lunatic, the lover, and the poet are of imagination all compact. One sees more devils than vast hell can hold, that is the madman. The lover, all is frantic, sees Helen's beauty in a brow of Egypt. The poet's eye, in a fine frenzy rolling, doth glance from heaven to earth, from earth to heaven, and as imagination bodies forth the forms of things unknown, the poet's pen turns them to shapes, and gives to airy nothing a local habitation and a name. Such tricks hath strong imagination, that if it would but apprehend some joy, it comprehends some bringer of that joy, or, in the night, imagining some fear, how easy is a bush supposed a bear. End of More Strange Than True, from A Midsummer Night's Dream, Act 5, Scene 1. This recording is in the public domain. Performed by Scott D. Farquhar of the Rude Mechanicals. www.rudemechanicals.com. I have passed a miserable night. Spoken by Clarence in Richard III, Act 1, Scene 4. This is a LibriVox recording. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Oh, I have passed a miserable night, so full of ugly sights, of ghastly dreams, that, as I am a Christian faithful man, I would not spend another such night, though 'twere to buy a world of happy days, so full of dismal terror was the time. Methoughts that I had broken from the tower, and was embarked to cross to Burgundy, and in my company my brother Gloucester, who from my cabin tempted me to walk upon the hatches. Thence we looked toward England, and sighted up 1,000 fearful times during the wars of York and Lancaster that had befallen us. As we paced along upon the giddy footing of the hatches, methought that Gloucester stumbled, and in falling struck me, that thought to stay him, overboard into the tumbling billows of the main. Lord, methought what pain it was to drown, what dreadful noise of waters in mine ears, what ugly sights of death within mine eyes. Methought I saw 1,000 fearful wrecks, 10,000 men that fishes gnawed upon, wedges of gold, great anchors, heaps of pearl, inestimable stones, unvalued jewels, all scattered in the bottom of the sea. Some lay in dead men's skulls, and in those holes where eyes did once inhabit, there were crept, as 'twere in scorn of eyes, reflecting gems, which wooed the slimy bottom of the deep, and mocked the dead bones that lay scattered by. Methought I had, and often did I strive to yield the ghost, but still the envious flood kept in my soul, and would not let it forth to seek the empty, vast, and wandering air, but smothered it within my panting bulk, which almost burst to belch it in the sea. My dream was lengthened after life. Then began the tempest to my soul, who passed, methought, the melancholy flood, with that grim ferryman which poets write of, unto the kingdom of perpetual night. The first that dared to greet my stranger soul was my great father-in-law, renowned Warwick, who cried aloud, "What scourge for perjury can this dark monarchy afford false Clarence?" And so he vanished. Then came wandering by a shadow like an angel with bright hair dabbled in blood, and he squeaked out loud, "Clarence is come! False, fleeting, perjured Clarence that stabbed me in the field by Tewkesbury. Seize on him, Furies, take him to your torments." With that methought a legion of foul fiends environed me about, and howled in mine ears such hideous cries that with the very noise I trembling waked, and for a season after could not believe but that I was in hell. Such terrible impression made the dream. End of I Have Passed a Miserable Night, from Richard III, Act 1, Scene 4. This recording is in the public domain. Performed by Scott D. Farquhar of the Rude Mechanicals. www.rudemechanicals.com.
Oh, what a rogue and peasant slave am I, from Hamlet, Act 2, Scene 2. This recording is in the public domain. Recording by Michael Sirois. Now I am alone. Oh, what a rogue and peasant slave am I. Is it not monstrous that this player here, but in a fiction, in a dream of passion, could force his soul so to his own conceit, that from her working all his visage wanned, tears in his eyes, distraction in his aspect, the broken voice, and his whole function suiting with forms to his conceit, and all for nothing, for Hecuba. What's Hecuba to him, or he to Hecuba, that he should weep for her? What would he do had he the motive and the cue for passion that I have? He would drown the stage with tears, and cleave the general ear with horrid speech, make mad the guilty, and appall the free, confound the ignorant, and amaze indeed the very faculties of eyes and ears. Yet I, a dull and muddy-mettled rascal, peak like Jonadreams, unpregnant of my cause, and can say nothing. No, not for a king upon whose property and most dear life a damned defeat was made. Am I a coward? Who calls me villain, breaks my pate across, plucks off my beard and blows it in my face, tweaks me by the nose, and gives me the lie in the throat as deep as to the lungs? Who does me this? Ah! Swoons, I should take it. For it cannot be but I am pigeon-livered and lack gall to make oppression bitter, or ere this I should have fatted all the region kites with this slave's offal. Bloody, bawdy villain, remorseless, treacherous, lecherous, kindless villain! Oh, vengeance! Why, what an ass am I! This is most brave. That I, the son of a dear father murdered, prompted to my revenge by heaven and hell, must like a whore unpack my heart with words, and fall a-cursing, like a very drab, a scullion. Fie upon it! Faugh! About my brain. I have heard that guilty creatures sitting at a play have by the very cunning of the scene been struck so to the soul that presently they have proclaimed their malefactions. For murder, though it have no tongue, will speak with most miraculous organ. I'll have these players play something like the murder of my father before mine uncle. I'll observe his looks. I'll tend him to the quick. If he but blench, I know my course. The spirit that I have seen may be the devil, and the devil hath power to assume a pleasing shape, yea, and perhaps out of my weakness and my melancholy, as he is very potent with such spirits, abuses me to damn me. I'll have grounds more relative than this. The play's the thing wherein I'll catch the conscience of the king. End of Oh, What a Rogue and Peasant Slave Am I, from Hamlet, Act 2, Scene 2. This recording is in the public domain.
I know a bank where the wild thyme blows, from A Midsummer Night's Dream, Act 2, Scene 1. This is a LibriVox recording. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Hast thou the flower there, welcome wanderer? I pray thee, give it me. I know a bank where the wild thyme blows, where oxlips and the nodding violet grows quite over-canopied with luscious woodbine, with sweet musk roses, and with eglantine. There sleeps Titania some time of the night, lulled in these flowers with dances and delight, and there the snake throws her enamelled skin weed wide enough to wrap a fairy in. And with the juice of this I'll streak her eyes and make her full of hateful fantasies. Take thou some of it, and seek through this grove. A sweet Athenian lady is in love with a disdainful youth. Anoint his eyes, but do it when the next thing he espies may be the lady. Thou shalt know the man by the Athenian garments he hath on. Effect it with some care, that he may prove more fond on her than she upon her love. And look thou meet me ere the first cock crow. End of I Know a Bank Where the Wild Thyme Blows, from A Midsummer Night's Dream, Act 2, Scene 1. This recording is in the public domain.
Ulysses' Speech on Time, from Troilus and Cressida, by William Shakespeare, Act 3, Scene 3. This is a LibriVox recording. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Elizabeth Klett. Time hath, my lord, a wallet at his back, wherein he puts alms for oblivion, a great-sized monster of ingratitudes. Those scraps are good deeds past, which are devoured as fast as they are made, forgot as soon as done. Perseverance, dear my lord, keeps honour bright. To have done is to hang quite out of fashion, like a rusty mail in monumental mockery. Take the instant way, for honour travels in a strait so narrow, where one but goes abreast. Keep then the path, for emulation hath 1,000 sons, that one by one pursue. If you give way, or hedge aside from the direct forthright, like to an entered tide, they all rush by and leave you hindmost. Or, like a gallant horse fallen in first rank, lie there for pavement to the abject rear, o'errun and trampled on. Then what they do in present, though less than yours in past, must o'ertop yours. For time is like a fashionable host, that slightly shakes his parting guest by the hand, and with his arms outstretched as he would fly, grasps in the comer. Welcome ever smiles, and farewell goes out sighing. Oh, let not virtue seek remuneration for the thing it was. For beauty, wit, high birth, vigour of bone, desert in service, love, friendship, charity, are subjects all to envious and calumniating time. One touch of nature makes the whole world kin, that all with one consent praise new-born gods, though they are made and moulded of things past, and give to dust that is a little gilt more laud than gilt or dusted. The present eye praises the present object. Then marvel not, thou great and complete man, that all the Greeks begin to worship Ajax, since things in motion sooner catch the eye than what not stirs. The cry went once on thee, and still it might, and yet it may again, if thou wouldst not entomb thyself alive, and case thy reputation in thy tent, whose glorious deeds, but in these fields of late, made emulous missions mongst the gods themselves, and drave great Mars to faction. End of Ulysses' Speech on Time, from Troilus and Cressida, by William Shakespeare. This recording is in the public domain.
O Reason Not the Need, from King Lear, Act 2, Scene 4. This is a LibriVox recording. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Chris Gladis.
Oh, reason not the need. Our basest beggars are in the poorest things superfluous. Allow not nature more than nature needs. Man's life is cheap as beasts. Thou art a lady, if only to go warm or gorgeous. Why, nature needs not what thou gorgeous wearest, which scarcely keeps thee warm. But for true need, you heavens, give me that patience I need. You see me here, you gods, a poor old man, as full of grief as age, wretched in both. If it be you that stir these daughters' hearts against their father, fool me not so much to bear it tamely. Touch me with noble anger, and let not women's weapons, water drops, stain my man's cheeks. No, you unnatural hags, I will have such revenges on you both, that all the world shall... I will do such things what they are, yet I know not, but they shall be the terrors of the earth. You think I'll weep? No, I'll not weep. I have full cause of weeping, but this heart shall break into 100,000 flaws, or ere I'll weep. O fool, I shall go mad.
End of O Reason Not the Need, from King Lear, Act 2, Scene 4. This recording is in the public domain.